And boom, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Art of Rainmaking episode. And I am stoked to have two of the best rainmakers in the house here.
Let's go.
And
Let's go.
we're going to chat on rainmaking. I'm going to open us up, and just because I'm fascinated with rainmaking, and there's two different pieces. There's the new age thought of rainmaking, which is really the intentional creation of opportunity, right? And it's awareness into conversations into relationships, and then relationships into momentum. And then I've found, since being involved with Mitsoh, the indigenous or traditional rainmaking, which is so similar in like you actually have to be prepared and in mind, body, spirit with nature to create these opportunities. And so that's why Ian and Jake, I'm so stoked to have this conversation.
But, absolutely, looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I want to just, I know you guys are both coming at it from the similar direction, but like different ways. But like, Jake, give us the overview of like how you think about rainmaking, and then Ian, and then we're gonna just jump into things that we're doing right now and current stuff.
Well, first of all, I love us. I love this tripod on here. It's from Edmonton to Montreal to Winnipeg. It's got the full coverage. So fired up. I think rainmaking, in my opinion, is a big part of it showing up. And that means showing up physically or showing up online. Because at the end of the day, my big belief is that if no one knows what you're doing or what your service or your product is, you're going to have a very hard time winning. And like, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is. If no one knows, it's very difficult. So I believe rainmaking is just the idea of showing up, building friendships, maintaining those friendships, and then bringing that to the organization. So I started as CMO at Midday Squares early on, and I didn't do the best job. But what I did do really well was I would get the community going digitally out there, get them fired up, and then I would go spend time with these same people physically when I would be in their cities, and I would build these relationships that were so deep. They weren't necessarily based on business, but they were based on something other than that. And when the time came, these people would then work with our company. So I believe rainmaking is just the idea of adding value to your organization through relationships and actually being genuine about them. So the key to rainmaking is not selling, is not asking for that instant gratification, or not asking for that, I need to get something out of this relationship. Instead, it's how can I make friends with this person? How can I actually build some sort of depth with this person, whether it's emotionally, whether it's, on added value, whatever it is, and then let it be wherever it goes, but just continue to maintain it. And the time will come when that relationship is maybe mature enough or ready to come to the organization. So that's what rainmaking is to me. And, I learned something from Mike early on that I applied to today is trade shows are now 24/7, 365. Why? Because you have social media, which is a surface level of anyone can see your product, your service, your marketing, not just you showing up physically to all the trade shows. So now your service level is way wider. So you are now really rainmaking 24/7, 365 every day, every minute, and you need to do it.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it.
And I mean, you're in the similar space of Jake, right? Coming from a founder responsible for a lot of things. We're building up the team. Now you get to focus on rainmaking. Like give us the take of rainmaking at Mitsoh.
So since my role as a rainmaker, I've been digging deep. Like I've been really digging deep about my identity, about who I am and where that comes from. And I've learned in this journey so far since I've been here, in Cree, traditionally, long time ago, there was a person called Kemawanehtao, and that means he or she makes it rain. A long time ago, it wasn't symbolic or metaphorical. There were like fires, drought, danger. There were really like specific people in our communities who carried the responsibility to pray and call the rain when it actually was needed. So rain wasn't convenience. Rain wasn't, it was survival. And those people were chosen not for ego or status. They were trusted with responsibility. And today we don't live the same way now, but that responsibility it didn't disappear. It evolved now, which is where I'm at here today. So when I think about rain making, I don't think about hype, luck, or I being outside myself. I think about creating the conditions, about bringing people together, building trust. Following through is huge. Creating stability so others can grow. The practice has changed, but responsibility, it stayed the same with me. So if I was to break it down simply for me, I put myself in rooms where decisions are being made. I build trust before I ask. I listen. I close all the freaking loops that are there, and I do and I say what I'm going to do. So most people have good conversations. Us, we move things forward.
I love it. I love it. And I just have to note for everyone that's watching, both of the full-time rainmakers here have glasses, have shades. It's so bright. It's so bright in the rainmaking zone that you gotta wear shades, man. You gotta wear shades.
It's part of rainmaking.
Yeah, I love that. And here, listen, this is, part of my success for a long time. I have a rainmaker in me, right? It's part of me. You guys are endowed with like a full-time role for the organization of being rainmaker. Not every entrepreneur, not every business person has that they can be a full-time rainmaker. Some do, but we all have it in us to be a rainmaker, and it's critical, even if it's not a full-time role, that it's a part-time role, and we organize ourselves that way and we think that way, because it's super, super critical. That's how I capture it. That's why I love hanging out with you guys, because I can plug in and we go like, let's make some rain. And then I also know I have these other responsibilities in the organization. But let's talk about like functionality of, and I'm going to break down in different parts, but like raising capital is a big one for people that are entrepreneurs and people that are in business, right? Like bringing more into their organization. And both of you guys have done an incredible job. Like Mitsoh, it's still hot off the press, the headline $5 million raise, and bringing in Raven, a new partner. Jake, you've been on the tour, and MDS is like well down that path. But let's talk, like, Jake, give like some of the relative things that you're doing, conferences, speaking, all that, to as specific to investment and bringing in new investors for MDS.
Yeah, and I was giving a guest lecture at Concordia University last night. Someone asked me about raising capital, and I said to them, the best way to do it is to tell your story and control your narrative. And part of rainmaking is sharing your story, whether it be Ian, whether it be me, whether it be you or anyone else listening to this. Your story is unique to you. Your values are unique. Who you are is unique. And what I did early on with Midday Squares was I said, if we want to get investors to know us before we even engage with them as people, we must put our story out there on social media, and whether it's Instagram, whether it's LinkedIn, which LinkedIn worked really well for the investor side. That way they're watching us and they could start to build trust without even having a direct conversation. And then when you reach out to them, or they reach out to you in inbound, or you go outbound, they already have a sense of trust that's already somewhat built, because they're familiar. They hear your story. They've seen you through moments of good. They've seen you through moments of bad. They've seen you through moments of greatness. So it really gives you that one step foot in the door. And then I take it one step further. So content online, on LinkedIn specifically, for raising money. And you don't have to talk about your financials, but talk about your growth spurts, talk about a milestone, talk about a hardship that you've overcome. So you give people the full spectrum. And the second part is when travel, get on a plane, get on a bus, get on a train, and show up in cities, even if you don't have the meetings booked. Set up a time to go to New York or Toronto, where there's a ton of finances, and just reach out to all those folks that you've looked into on social media and say, I'm going to be there for 2 days straight. I would love to get 15 minutes of your time. The beauty of it is they've already seen your story online, so they already know, and they want to meet you because they're interested, they're curious, they feel the trust. So early on, that's how we raised our money, is the investors saw us and they're like, we love you guys, or we want to get to know you guys more. And it created a warm relationship rather than a cold relationship. So I'd say, if you're going to raise money, share your story and make sure it's you sharing it, not somebody else, because you have control of your own narrative when you share it.
Yeah, I mean, I use the example of, and this is, I think, rainmaking in total is like creating a pull, right? It's not all about push, creating a pull. Like, and I tell people, hey, I'm invested in both these companies. I'm invested in both these guys and the products. but neither asked me if I wanted to invest, right? I followed up because the story was being told, the founders were showing up, the Rainmakers were in full action and full dance. I think that whole dancing and rainmaking I think pulls up too. You know, it works really well, and then it draws you in, right? It draws people in, and so. Ian, I know you've been on tour. It's further than just investors. It's like the banking partners now that want to support Mitsoh. It's the customers that are showing up and saying, give you a chance. Like, tell people a little bit about like how you organize yourself on the day-to-day basis that they maybe can be encouraged and motivated and take some actionable advice on.
Yeah. A lot of the things, the common questions is that I hear from so many people is that I'm too shy. I can't put myself out there. That's probably one of the biggest things that I hear. How do you do it? Getting out of that comfort zone. And I think for me on that side was just really embracing your story and being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is probably one of the biggest growths that I've had and I've learned and evolved from, you know, that alone and raising capital comes in play because people who want to be invested into your company, they want to know about you. They want to know where you come from. They want to know how that you got from here to here and how you carry yourself. So you're building this trust together. And for me, my day to day, every day is a constant LinkedIn, getting in there, plugging in, creating like that alone, guys, is unreal. Like it's 24/7. Like I can show you on my phone how many people inbox me on there. And that alone, LinkedIn has created so many opportunities, investors approaching, all sorts of people who want to collaborate, come together. And that has been such a big, huge growth driver for us in building community. So for me, start of the day, LinkedIn, I try to get prepared for my whole week, 2 weeks or so on. So I'm constantly recording, which I'm on right here too as well. Content, right? Creating those opportunities, creating content, creating these levers for us to excel us and to bring us in. So I'm constantly recording always because I don't know what's going to come up from it. I don't know what we can grab from there. So I'm constantly creating opportunities, creating content 24/7. I live and breathe. And it was so funny, guys, because you can ask my team before, I fucking hated social media. Like Brandon, Emily, all of them were like, Ian, we need you. We friggin' need you on your, can you do it? And I fought them forever because again, who's going to want to hear my story? What's my story? It's not important, right? So
I think it's a big point there that hits a thread with a lot of people, like the vulnerability. We all think, because I tell people I'm the biggest introvert, and they're like, you know, no way from now what's being cleared. Yeah, I was the overweight kid leaning against the wall, not showing up to the dance. I didn't want to put my name in the conversation. I didn't want to put myself in the room. And those in business, that's learned habits that we practice and we get better at, and then show up. But there's the whole piece of actually storytelling to tell people what are our vulnerabilities. And I think you guys both do a good job at that. Like that is, you know, from both of the pieces of content that I see out of you guys, it's not the, hey, look what we've done and how successful we are. It's actually the hard times. Like,
I believe vulnerability, like I always say, is the future currency of all marketing and all communication going forward. But I would also say, as much as digital is critical, I'm a huge believer in rainmaking, for at least for myself, in physically showing up, and that means going to the trade shows. That's even if you can't afford a booth, or you know, just show up to walk the show, because when you do things like that and show up physically, you create a larger surface area for serendipity to happen. And you know, even sharing a hotel room, Mike and I share a hotel room in, you know, for CHFA and Expo West, which are sometimes an Expo West, which are trade shows, and we don't do it because we have to. We do it because we want to be together and create those moments where, whether it's just knowledge coming through or whether it's just inviting a bunch of people to be part of it, because rainmaking is relationship building 24/7. And that even goes to the people that you're already friends with, that you're already very close with. You want to rainmake with them and build depth with them, because at the end of the day, the more depth you have with somebody, the more that relationship's going to go a long way, whether that be in your personal life or whether that be in your corporate or business life. And look, like, Mike, we've been friends. Ian, we've become friends. We help each other, not because we have to, but because we want to. Whether there's an opportunity that comes and you think about it, you send it my way or I send it your way, because that's what friends do for each other. So rainmaking is friendship. And you need to do everything in your power to build those friendships, whether it's physically or digitally. And it is 24/7, and that's the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I say, yeah. And, I'm a big believer in make friends first, do business second. Like,
Yep.
when you want to hang out with someone and have breakfast with them, or like work out and go on a hike or do something active together, or, just literally just hang out and strategize and chat. Like, when that's comfortable, there's so many other things are possible, right? Like the whole rest of the business world just opens up from there.
Yeah.
I want to get into, and for everyone that's watching live, we are going to have some Q&A as part of this. If you want to have a better understanding in any aspect of the art of rainmaking, any kind of actionable advice now, things that are working, things that aren't working, things you should be thinking about, drop them in the comments, and we're going to get to them. But I do want to get back to the vulnerability, because it's a little bit of a different side, right? Like, Ian, you're pretty, like, you've had a past similar to mine, and maybe like relatable, like it's deep. And so I want to talk about like the line of, because people struggle with this, and I think you're doing a better and better job of it, is be vulnerable and tell people about your past, but be relatable. And whether that's PG-13 or like the important parts, so that everyone can follow along with your story. Like,
Yeah.
you're right in the midst of that. Like, tell people, because I think that'll be helpful a little bit for as people are framing their origin story, and how they can share it and what they share with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. A vulnerability for me in the beginning, because I grew up a very tough life. Like Mike said, I grew up on the streets, man. I grew up, selling drugs. I grew up in jail. I grew up a pretty tough life. And I was afraid when I came into this relationship, like, who wants to freaking partner with an ex-criminal? Who wants to be involved in this journey that I'm doing? Who's going to believe me in what I'm doing? But a lot of that for me was staying consistent. When I was truly changing my life and wanted to do better, I had to call myself out on so much shit, so much. I was materialistic. I wasn't a good dad. I was all these different things that were affecting my personal growth. For me, in order to be vulnerable, I had to really face those. And then being sober, clean and sober, drug free. Doing these without zero excuses. So for me, being vulnerable was going back and being able to face these things that I had trouble with long time ago. And shit, man, I had a list of things, right? So changing my ways. I wear blue blockers now, right? Like creating the lights, they hurt my eyes. I learn I eat cleaner. I'm spiritual. I'm into my culture. I know my identity. So that for me was my biggest strength, for sure, was learning my identity. And that's where the power came back from. And I've been able to embrace the story. So being vulnerable, you guys, is one of the most critical things that you're going to have to do when you start your business. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to show people, but again, like Mike said, keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
Like, I got a dark fucking past, man. Like, I'm not kidding, man. It took me a long time to tone that down, to be able to make it relatable so people can understand that, because it's all about creating those connections. We don't want to leave people felt outside that connection. So your story is powerful, be true, but start from the beginning with it, resolution at the end. How did you overcome that? You can't stay sobby the whole way and keep that consistently where you're going to draw people down. There's where you were, where you're going, and where you're at. So grow from there and really embrace your story, but keep in mind for people who don't understand where you're at as well, so you can keep the story focused. Because shit, I go down all over sometimes, and so I got to bring myself back like that. So
Honestly, Mike, before you go, I think, Ian, honestly, your story is fascinating. When I heard a lot of it, I was so fired up. You inspire me a lot, and Mike, obviously, you as well. But I think something important is people are scared to share their stories. This is an important point, and I think even me, before I didn't go through the same path necessarily, but I was always insecure about my academics, and I was insecure about sharing my story because I was worried about my articulation and all these things. And I was telling myself my story is boring. No one actually cares about it. Like I play hockey, I do fun things, but like that's not really that interesting. But then I realized that it was just me telling myself that I was making up a story to prevent myself from sharing my story. And that goes even further in the business world, because you're like, oh, well, the corporate world doesn't want to hear the story of midday scores. Why do they care about chocolate bar? It's like irrelevant, right? But once you get over that hump, and it takes a lot of hard work to do little steps every day to build the muscle to get over that hump, you'll realize that your story is your story 24/7. So you might not find it the most interesting thing in the world, but somebody else out there has never seen your story, doesn't know about it, and literally is looking for your story, something similar to your story. So it's your duty to share it, to maybe inspire someone, to maybe help someone, to maybe fire up someone's emotions. And the only way you can do that is by actually breaking that barrier that you have and share your story. And Mike, you and I talk about it all the time. Storytelling is the most powerful tool in the toolbox. So, we are our biggest enemies not to share it. And Ian, you were so scared, for many years, but now look at the people you've impacted and how your business has impacted people, and you're building something so memorable and relatable. That's the power of it. So knowing that, why would you not start the process of doing little steps forward every single day?
100%.
Exactly.
And I think it's listen, it can be intimidating, right? Like I could tell you this, like don't compare your first steps or your first couple steps to Jake Karls' step 1000. Like I could
Yeah.
been hanging out, Jake, for 4 years, and I can even tell the audience that's listening, and there's a bunch of folks that are on, this is broadcasting live on LinkedIn, also on YouTube. Some of the people are asking if the video is going to be available later. Yeah, LinkedIn will store it. YouTube also there after. So it's recorded. And someone said that Giovanni said I'm missing the glasses. I should have the glass next time. Rainmakers, I'm going.
Come on, Mike. Come
Yeah,
on.
but my point there on the on just the start, like I watched you and I compliment you all the time, Jake, because 4 years ago when we met, and then I started seeing you on stage, and we took stages together. You were okay, you know what I mean? And now
Thanks,
you're
Mike.
no, you were okay. You were good, but now you're world class because you've done like literally 500 or 1,000 reps, like speaking at universities, colleges, speaking when there's 10 people in the room, speaking when there's 1,000 people in the room, working on what you're trying to say, synchronizing it. And I'm going through my own personal little journey of that, right? So I resonate with that, but people can see that step 1,000 and say like, oh, I don't have that in me. And they do. Everyone has it in you. You just got to go and do the reps. And like, as Ian's taking the stage now more and more, we're working through the same thing. Like, just refine it. Your elevator pitch, your what you're going to make people feel something, and that just gets stronger. Like it just does.
Keep showing up. Keep showing up.
Keep showing up. Keep showing up.
Like we are today. We're showing up live for everybody. We are going to get to some questions. So if you do have a question, you could drop it. If you're watching in LinkedIn now, you can. If you're watching this video after, you could watch other people's questions. We'll get into some of the answers. But okay, question number one, and this is the when's the PB&J hitting with into longos in the singles format? There's a major question there, Jake. So do you know the answer to that, or?
As of right now, it's 4-packs, multis, because that we believe in multi-packs. But yeah, and we also love longos. Longos is, again, just going back to rainmaking. So I want to bring it back to rainmaking. So have that person DM me after. But right now it's just 4-packs. But longos was a rainmaking situation. This is a great story. We were originally in the grocery section in our refrigerator, where we were doing I don't know, sub $100,000 with this account, which is it's great. It was doing very well. And then I met somebody at Longo's, and he decided we built a very strong relationship with him and his coworker, and we started to brainstorm ideas and have fun, and we started to hang out every time I was in Toronto. And next thing you know, we came up with this idea to move the product to produce in bunkers, and we grew like almost 10x in 9 months, simply because that relationship moved really quickly. It built it on friendship, and then it moved into actual full throttle execution for my team. And next thing you know, the account's grown 10 times, simply because it started with a relationship, right? Showing up physically, showing up digitally, them seeing the story, and then using the story to show others that this case study works. Again, it's all rainmaking is not just relationship building. It's actually results that come through in the organization in many different formats. But again, so shout out to Longo, shout out to the team there that's worked with us, and keep getting our 4-packs of PBJ.
Let's go.
I like it, and I love the PBJ. And it actually plays into the next question, and I'll give this one to you, Ian, because I know that you guys are also doing something. Nathan's asking, and he's with Community Natural Food, so he's in the retail space. How do you each approach creating community and telling stories with retailers in a way that empowers them to convey the stories and build community with their customers? And I know, Ian, you guys are doing it in a very geo-targeted partnership kind of way,
Yeah.
too. But like, talk to people about how they could be thinking about, as they have retail partners, promoting together, rainmaking together on.
Yeah. So one of the biggest struggles for us, for sure, guys, was how do you tell 1,000-year-old story that has been here since time immemorial to mainstream and give the same passion message? Like, when I'm there, guys, I can sell the hell out of it. Like, I can kill it. But when we leave from there, how do we keep that message going? So yes, geo-targeting has been a great source for us to do that, a great method. The other way we've been doing it, for starters, is our social media has been big. Secondly, we've actually developed QR codes on our displayers on the corner so that people can actually scan those too when I'm gone, and it'll take them directly to yours truly talking about the product. So keeping those people consistently in what's more up to date and what people like. Cell phones, people's got their phones. But a good thing that I found within community partners now that has been working is that there's a few other companies that we're working on right now, and things that we're thinking about how we can help get the rest of the employees there also understanding the product. So maybe one of the things that I'm thinking of is maybe a weekly or bi-weekly call with your team to share the story, to keep them for each store. We'll take turns as we come in. So those are things that we're thinking about, that how we can keep that message strong with managers, because it's true, once we're gone from there, how do we keep that thrive going there still? So keep an engagement going there for sure.
I think Mike, I want to add something to this. So Ian does a phenomenal job with this, but Mike, you and I, we've talked about this in the past of giving samples out to stores, going into the stores and meeting the managers, the cashiers, the store clerks, and actually introducing yourself, saying hi, giving them the samples, especially of a new product launch, and actually saying thank you. Because a lot of the time, the front line of stores is where the magic happens at retail. You know, these folks know their customers. They are the ones merchandising the shelves, making sure everything looks good. They know how people shop. So actually getting, again, rainmaking, physically showing up to stores to meet the people that are on the ground. They're the superheroes. They're the ones that are driving so much business. And just before coming here, I was about 5 minutes late for this call. I was visiting Stuart from Marche Toe. They recently got our peanut butter jelly product. So I went in and I basically went to dance with him. That's our community thing at retail, is we go dance down the hallways, and everyone loves it. It's gotten millions of views over the last couple of years. People now come there and see Stuart and they're fired up. He lights people's days up. And what that does is it associates Midday Squares with Marche Tao, because that's the partnership we've built. It's based on human connection, fun, energy from all of their teammates. And again, you as a brand, it's very hard to go to, you know, if you're in 10, 20,000 stores, it's hard to go to each one. But when you're in a city, just drop by, say hi, introduce yourself, give out hats, give out some merchandise, because at the end of the day, rainmaking is a very unique skill, and people appreciate human connection. If you can offer that, it really goes a long way, whether that be human connection through digital or whether it be physical and showing up.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm just going to double down on that because Manitoba Harvest wouldn't be the success exactly without that. The number one thing for us in CPG at retail, the number one thing is to have a staff pick sign beside your product, right? How do you get a staff pick? Because if you walk into a store and it has staff pick, which happens in a lot of the natural food stores and a lot of the accounts, if you have staff pick beside your product, someone's taking care of you in the store, right? Like they're going to merchandise better. They're going to tell customers that come into the store how excited they are about the product. You're going to be accepted for promos, all of that. How do you do that? You got to show up and like shake hands and like introduce yourself. Yeah, if you have some merch and even samples, we did a lot with trainings, right? Actually go in and do the store, get the stores to do a training so they understand the brand and the sample. I just love nowadays, because we're living in 2026, how that could be so complemented with online. Like both Midday Squares and Mitsoh have done an incredible job. When you go and launch with a new partner, you make a video, you make a story about that partner. It combines the community. It brings the brand community into the retailer and vice versa. And it's like, it's hot, like it's sexy to be able to do that. And then actually like mean something to the customers in that store because they know they could buy you. Right?
And I'm also a big believer in, taking the physical meaning. Doesn't matter if it's a 1 store account or a 10,000 store account or a 1,000 store account. Get on the plane, get on the bus, get on the subway, the metro, whatever train, whatever you have to go to, and ask them for that 5, 20, 30 minutes that you can get. Because again, serendipity happens physically, energy's transferred, and things happen, ideas come up. You get a moment that you can, build on. It might go longer than the 30 minutes that was originally planned for. And that's how you start to build sincere depth. So get in those meetings, ask them, don't do the Zoom if you don't have to, go physically if you can.
Exactly. Exactly.
One more thing, Ian, before we go into that, because we're gonna do this together. But we've had, if you can go in partnership. So I'm a big believer in peer-to-peer mentorship, like founders hanging out with other founders. If you go and visit stores with multiple founders, and we've done it together, Jake, where you walk in and the staff at the store are like, oh my God, now I got a couple of brands that are coming in here, having great conversation, having fun, having support. We're going to do that in Vancouver all together on the Friday before CHFA, is wander to some of our retail partners and actually go put some magic in the store with multiple brands, which this is a shout out and a call out. If you want to join us on that Friday in Vancouver I think it's
Let's go.
We'll have a bunch of people together. I want to get to some of the questions because we do have a bunch of them. Ian, maybe you could take the first crack at this.
Sure.
And I know, Jake, you have some superpowers here. Sean from Sheepdog, so shout out Sean.
What's up, Sean?
He's a legend.
The more vulnerable we are and the more we put ourselves out there in the story, how do you stay focused and positive, specifically when there's like naysayers or people that are just, the trolls and the haters that are hating on you?
Yeah, so now before, when I was doing this, I was doing everything, Sean. Every single thing. I've done it from shipping, receiving, to BOLs, to freaking production, you name it. I've done every single thing when I started this in the beginning. But as we start to grow, you need to understand something that I struggled with for a bit is learning my role. Learning your role is so important. And when I say this, Sean, specifically, is what it does is it allows you to take out all of that noise. When you can stay focused on what you're doing. Now, if you're doing it all up front, I get it. If you're doing it up front, you're going to see it. It will bother you, but I don't feed into anything. Like, honest to goodness, nothing stops me, man. I don't allow my mindset, because it's so ingrained, it's so trained. I don't allow it to shift and to turn. So I'll just delete, block, blah, 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 gone. In the beginning, that is what I did. Delete, block, see you later, gone. I don't have time to really entertain a lot of that. But as you evolve and you can get somebody else to do that in time, and you can stay focused on what you're good at, this will block out all of that other noise for you, and just stay focused on what you're supposed to do and what you're good at.
I like it. Yeah, other people's problems are their problem. I think
Yeah.
Jake. I think you go a little deeper, Jake. Then because and Jake, you've been working it for a while, so you got some
Yeah.
haters. Unfortunately, as we all do. People just
Mike,
yeah.
you do too. I see them.
No, I know people are like either love me or hate me, and I'm like, hey, okay.
Well, I love you. I love you, and I love Ian too. But I think this is a great way to put it. So I struggled originally with this concept, and I 100% agree with Ian. Find your superpower, go all in on that, and then build other people to help you build that are great at what they do, and that could supplement. But I think from a standpoint, when you put yourself out there, because we're talking about storytelling, and that means that you are putting yourself vulnerably out there. You are naked out there, more or less, in a metaphor. And people are going to eat you. They're going to go, and there's people out there that are just they're going to climb and crawl and crush you. And at first, I take it personally. When I started this business, the first 3 years, I was like really anxious about it, and I felt like, oh my God, did I do something? Did I hurt the business? Why is this person calling out my biggest insecurities? Do I want to get back to them with sarcasm and anger? And it would take hours of my day, literally hours. And then I go to therapy, once every 10 days or so. And, I worked with my therapist on this idea that I couldn't deal with the trolling. It was so much. I was like, maybe I shouldn't put my story out there. Maybe I should dim my light a little bit because, these 3%, are really angry and loud and say really mean things. And then he helped me understand that you said it before, Mike, but it's actually a them problem and not a you problem. A lot of the time, these people don't even know you, and they just take out their insecurities on you. So the way to look at it is not to be angry at these folks. And I know it's going to sound really strange, but you actually should be there for them, and you should try to empathize with them because they must be going through something if they're going that far to be that hateful or rude or trolling. So sometimes I'll reach out to them and say, "Are you okay? Can I help? Here's my phone number. Give me a call." And 6 out of 10 times, people apologize, or 7 out of 10 times they apologize, say, "I'm so sorry, I don't even know you, I had a bad day, and I took it out on you." And sometimes we'll be friends, but 3 out of 10 times it's bullies or mean people. Then you block and delete, kind of what Ian said. Just get rid of them. You don't need that energy in your life. You're building something great. You're putting so much effort and love in something. You don't need that negative energy unless it's proper constructive feedback. That's something so different. So I would say is like, I try to realize that it's not on me. And that has taken so much time that I've saved in life because I don't worry about it. It comes in, I reach out potentially. If they don't want to do it, all good. I moved on. It's done. But it's not about me. And I think that if you live with an open heart, a good heart, which all of us do on this call, because I know you guys, then you shouldn't have to worry about what your story is and what you say if you're leading with a good heart and a good person, right?
Exactly.
So that's how I look at the trolling.
I love it.
Took years.
Yeah, kill it with love and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Care Bears were my favorite when we were younger. We've had this conversation before. The Care Bear stare where you're just going to like win with positivity. Like that's a tried true method. It works even in
And Mike, I've seen you do it. I've seen Mike do some other approaches, which I respect. I've seen it at trade shows and things like that, where, you'll go out and have, like, in a very respectful way, a hard conversation with the person, and you'll just be like, "What's up?" Like, and you'll physically say, like, what's going on? And you guys will have those conversations. And I've seen you make amends with people that digitally were rude or whatever it was, and you had the courage to actually have that conversation. And it wasn't confrontation. It was just, "What's up? How can I, like, it's all love. Let's work, like, let's do this." And I respect that tremendously because I think Mike's one of the king or queens of hard conversations. And it's something I want to get better at over time.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, Jake. I've got personally better at it because I used to shy away from it. Right. I'm like, okay, conflict. Okay. That person's like a enemy or dead to me or whatever. And like easy things for us to think about. And sometimes it's just like, whoa, why is this even going on in the first place? And then and you've seen it in action. Sometimes it's like, I'm not sure, I just didn't like you, but I'm not sure even why. There's a misunderstanding. But thanks for coming up. Oh, this is awesome now. You know what I mean? And it just, the energy changes that quick. We got more time for questions. If you're watching this live, ask your questions. There was a question that Robert asked, just like, what's the current status of Mitsoh, the stores, markets, CHFA West? Like, if you didn't know and you didn't see the release, I joined Mitsoh as chairman of the board like 4 months ago. New investment group, Raven, that invested in Ian and Brandon and team. We're building up the team. We're expanding the factory. We're building up new product lines. What we call Mitsoh 2.0. is launching at CHFA West in Vancouver in a few short weeks. The world's going to hear a lot more about Mitsoh. It's going to see a lot more of Ian and the team. So hopefully that gets you more excited, Robert. Go out and buy some products. Yeah, you can buy it online at mitsoh.com. You can also buy it at our valued retailers, and there's more of them to come in short order.
I love that. Thank you.
Having Mike with structure, it's the best. Mike comes in and he brings structure to the organization. It's so valuable. It's so valuable. Honestly, it's wild.
It is.
And he's dead serious,
that.
you know?
I appreciate that completely, because I'll go off and I'll spill the beans and it'll be like, Ian, I'll get all these texts. Don't say this, don't say that, you know, but I'm always excited about where it's all going. And yeah, definitely.
I like structure. You know, I could take chaos and put it into order. I've realized that's one of my strengths, and I love doing it with the right people and the right product and right people, right? Like it's no different, Jake. MDS, it's been 4 years, right? But if you remember in the early days, you're like, hey, here's all my learnings. Here's what good looks like. Here's the next step of what we could be working on. Here's how we want to
class.
Huh? Yeah, because when I built a business from $0 to $100 million over 20 years, I can't turn that stuff off. Like I that is just me. That's authentically me. The more that I lean into myself authentically, that's what more comes out. So I love it. I'm not going to go operate the business because it's not. I don't have that level. I like to work across the portfolio and the companies that I advise and the companies that I coach to just help the leaders and help the founders and the teams build the next stage of growth. Build companies that are good companies into world-class companies. Fires me up. We're going to see a lot more of it, you know, and yeah.
I also think, like, coming back to rainmaking, what Mike, like, and structure, like Ian, you and I are moving into full-time rainmaking. So like we're doing this, and what's beautiful about our partners or, board and people, they respect rainmaking, and they're not putting an ROI on that you need to get X, Y, Z if you're going to do rainmaking. And I think that's the magic of rainmaking, is the freedom to be able to go out and build those relationships without an ROI in terms of, I need this from that. And that allows for the freedom to you to be your best, Ian, for me to be my best. And I think both Midday Squares and Mitsoh have created structures where the organization respects that tremendously. And that's what allows rainmaking to succeed. If you're going to try to get a rainmaker in your organization, make sure he or she has the freedom to rainmake, and it takes time. Nothing happens overnight. Mike, you said 0 to 100 in 20 years. That's the truth. It's a 20-year overnight success story, not a 1-year overnight success story. So rainmaking should have a similar-esque feeling of, it's not overnight success. It's actually many, many years of compounded, showing up and building that story and sharing it and building those relationships. So that's the mentality that the companies need to think in terms of rainmaking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've learned a lot on my side through personal growth. Like I said, the more that I was able to embrace who I am, the more powerful the story became, because it becomes true. It's something like, man, like shit. Like I said, I got a dark past, and that was a hard thing for me to share, but that is a powerful story if you can do it properly. So, yeah.
Okay, got some questions, and I'm looking on my separate screen because they're not showing up here, but we'll get to them. Add questions if you have them, and we got another 15 minutes or so that we'll get to them. This is really about like getting into more conventional retailers, right? So Mitsoh's going there. Jake, you have a lot of experience. You talked about this before, when you have like 10,000 stores that you're selling to.
Yeah.
How do you keep the connection and realness there, even though it doesn't necessarily translate to at the same at a smaller natural foods independent customer as it does to the chain store? Like, what's your approach to the? I think the question is coming to the retailer, not to the consumers in the store, to the retailer. Yeah. How do you, and you guys, yeah.
Number one is like I always give an example of Target. We work with Target. They're a quite large retailer, and they're an amazing retailer that we work with. And we show up there many times a year to Minneapolis to go meet with the team and get to and hang with them and understand what they need, what we need to improve, how we can show them our innovations. And I think that you show respect by showing up multiple times, and you also listen to the feedback that's needed, and you then execute it and come back with an execution. Then you've made a promise and you kept that promise and you actually executed on it, and that's a respect for the retail partner. Now also a great tip is when you go to your meetings, take a picture with your partners that you work with at the meeting, and take a picture outside the banner somewhere in the city that you're selling at, and make a post on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, X, wherever you're putting it, and talk about the partnership. Talk about how the partnership was built. Don't just say, oh, now available at Metro Ontario. No, talk about how we've worked with the team, how the innovation has come, how we've merchandised together. Show that you care.
Shout
That's all
out
it is.
Charles at Metro.
Charles,
Shout out Charles.
Charles
Yeah.
and team
Yeah.
is unbelievable at Metro Ontario. We love them too. But again, show. And it comes back to storytelling. Just show appreciation, because this is a partnership. They're giving you their shelves. They're getting you to the end customer. You also got to not just promote to their end customer, but also show how well it is to work with these companies, how amazing it's been, or in some cases, maybe it's not great, and that's a different story. But at the end of the day, that's how we built our relationships with conventional and with natural retailers. Again, we're all humans, and if you remember that we're all humans, it takes away just transaction from it.
Yeah, I want to double down on it for a secon, then I'm going to come to you on it, like, because it's recent for you even this week, like, and because the question, Jake, was exactly that, like, how do you keep it so, like, a lot of the large retailers are data, and it's like all about data, right? And Jake said it there in a different way. We can't be all about rainmaking and storytelling and relationship building 100% with those retailers. You have to be half that and half what their expectation is of you, that they want you to understand the data. They want you to understand how to work with that retailer. And it's a lot different working with Target or Loblaws or Costco than it is with a natural food retailer or a smaller store. You have to understand, I say blueprint the customer, go in there so you're satisfying their needs, but up front, make sure that you tell them all about what the story is of the business and the current story and the innovation, and make them part of that. And I bring it to you, Ian, because you guys are, I'm helping my part to like seed you, but you guys just showed up. National retailer, we don't have to say who it is, where it's going, but a multiple team approach. The founder telling the story, the marketing person sharing the innovation, the salesperson there talking in the customer's language. Like, just, you got some, you're fresh in it.
Absolutely.
You learn through it.
For me, in the beginning, I made relationship with every single store. Every single store that we were in when we were a bit smaller, I went to in person. I built relationships. Exactly what Jake was saying, going there in person is so important in building those relationships. As we grew and you start to evolve and want to be in a national scale, that as well is relationship building. I went in person. There was times, like, I won't say who or which corporation, but man, we were having trouble getting into these stores where they just would not let us. And I was like, what is going on here? They freaking love our product, this and that, and they wouldn't give us an answer. And we were struggling with that. So I made the opportunity. I went in person. I found this guy walking the fucking aisles, jumped in front of him and said, hey, how's it going, man? What's going on? Like, hey, can you tell me why we can't, like, what is going on? You love our products, want to support us. Why? What can we do better? And that's what it's always about, is about doing better. How can we do better and evolve to be where we're at? And they told us at the time it was a barrier. Well, because you're not from this side of the province, we can't bring you in. And you have to be true in where you come from. And I've told them and said, hey, nothing is more authentic to Canada than Indigenous foods. There should not be a barrier. Boom, just like that. Holy shit, Ian. You were so right. Overnight, we're in all these stores and now building relationship constantly with these stores. So going in person, taking the time to really go in person to see these bigger corporations. I went on doors, knocked on these bigger corporation doors in person before, and was like, hey, I just happen to be in the friggin' neighborhood here. You want to, like, I wouldn't suggest doing that, guys. It worked for me. It worked for me at the time. Timing was just seemed to work for it. But that part for me, building relationship and now what they want of you is so important. You have to follow through. You have to sell the product. You have to get out there. You have to push the product and do your job. This is a big part of that community involvement. So I went there in person. I've built relationships. Everybody knows the story, embraces the story for us. So just keep being your authentic self. Go up in person. Go to the stores. Love them. Be true. It will evolve to be something more for you if you
And
just stay consistent.
And just remember, it's we. You keep saying we, and that's important. It's a two-way road. Just like like there's no entitlement that we have to be here. You know, this is a partnership, and when you remember it's a collaboration, a partnership. You know, you understand their data, what they need. You know, when you go to different channels, different channel strategies, one channel will tell you they're looking for actually investment into their apps, or another strategy looking for demoing as their thing. So understand their priorities and try to fit that with what, like Ian's saying, is your authenticity, your authentic priorities, and how do you collaborate that? Because that's really how retailers win with you, rather than just being a place where you supply and it's transactional. That's useless. It won't go so far. So again, we, like Ian, you kept on saying we. I 100% agree with that. That's super important.
Absolutely. And I specifically didn't want to talk about what the last call was regarding the next steps to this big thing. There's a big thing coming up, guys.
Let's go.
Because I'm going to get a text here pretty soon. Ian, shut up.
Yeah,
shut up.
Ian,
So
shut up. Yeah, Ian
leave it
can't
at-
tell the details, but you can talk about the process, because it's really like, and you said it there. I think about it. We're athletes as entrepreneurs and business people, right? And we're actually, as it comes to retail, we're a multi-sport athlete, because it's a lot different to do business with Marcheteau as it is to do Loblaws or Walmart or Target or Costco or a drugstore chain. And you have to understand that retail partner and then show up how they want to play the game. Authentically still us, but how they want to play the game, right? That's how we're successful. Okay, I'll take this as the last question, and everyone gets to answer this. Okay, Frederick asks, what would be the first step to start rainmaking if you're brand new, like a new brand, and you're brand new to it? Okay, like
Mike, you take that first.
Well, I think, okay, you're doing it already because you're asking that question on LinkedIn, Frederick. So a personal brand, like why you're doing what you're doing as the founder, what problem you're solving for yourself, why you're doing it. Like I came into the business because I changed my health. I lost 100 pounds. I got super interested in health, and I want that for everybody. I want everyone to be their healthiest self. That's why 30 years later, this is 30 years of me on my health journey. You'll see that a third of my content is health content, not business, mentorship, entrepreneurship content. So that's really, really important to me. So understanding that the bullseye of your why you're doing what you're doing is a great place to start.
I love that. Ian?
Yeah, the first step to becoming a rainmaker is find your power. And each of us have our own role. Jake is exciting. He's out there. He gets out there, right? But that's not what rainmaking is about. He found his power. My power is grounding. My power is where the story and the truth comes from as well. So we all complement each other well, but you learn who you are, and that takes time. So just being true with yourself and being honest about what you can and can't do, and then evolving from there, baby stepping it, learning from it, growing in your own personal way. You know, like I said, I had to call myself out on so much shit in order for me to be this version I am today. And that took me time. So just be your authentic self, be true to who you are, and be proud. Be proud of your story. We all have a story to tell. Every single one. That's what people don't get. They don't understand that. We all have a story to tell. And the way you tell it is so powerful. So don't ever underestimate the power of your story.
So I echo Ian and Mike, and just to add one small thing is, don't be so hard on yourself. You know, rainmaking, what we're talking about this is years and years of work that we've done. Like Mike said, 1,000 steps, or, you know, Ian's been doing it for many years, you know, and just formalized it. But, you know, don't have so much expectation at the beginning. Just be yourself as you're doing it and take little steps forward. And I promise you that compounds so well. Screenshot.
Yeah, baby.
Go.
I thought you were going to use the F word there, Jake. And you know what it is? Fun. You got to have fun, whatever you're doing. Like when you're
Yep.
going out there and like and making noise and making opportunities, have so much fun doing it.
Have
People
fun.
are it's contagious. It's infectious. Have fun while you're doing it. Listen, thanks so much, guys, for this. Anyone that's like watching and you're watching live, I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, leave a note, because it helps the it helps
Algo.
yeah, it helps the algo and helps more people. If you're watching this after, if you're watching on YouTube and you enjoyed the program, subscribe, and we're going to do more. Comment if you want more of it, because that's what fires us up to do it. So thanks everyone for
CHFA. I
yeah.
can't wait to
Let's
be with
go.
you guys.
We're live together in like a less than a month. So come see us. Come hang out in February in Vancouver.
I love you all. I love you
Let's
both.
go. Let's go, everybody.